So the story starts with God replacing Lucifer as like the favorite child with Jesus. And so as a result, Lucifer got really pissed and he was like crazy jealous about Jesus being the new favorite child. So he stages a rebellion against God, and since God is pretty much the all-powerful being of the universe, he gets smited to hell and he's banned from heaven. And so then Lucifer and the other tyrants or angels that rebelled against God ended up in the lake of fire in hell. And Lucifer was very mad at this. And so he begins to start a speech to rally up all the other angels that have become demons now in hell. And so with this newfound rebellious nature, they create Pandemonium as their new conference hall. And in Pandemonium, they start having ideas on how to get back at God. And Lucifer has this idea that God is making a new creation called Earth, and he's creating creatures that he loves equal, if not more, than Jesus himself. So since God is crazy filled with envy for these creatures, Satan decides that he's going to corrupt these creatures. And so he heads off to paradise, but first he has to get through the gates of hell. And at the gates of hell he meets his daughter Sin and his grandson/son Death. And after very little convincing, Sin decides to open up the gates of hell for Satan. And on his way, and meanwhile, God sees all of this and he knows it's all about to happen. And he doesn't really want to do anything about it, since he knows that if humans didn't have free will, they wouldn't truly love him. So God decides not to do much about Lucifer's attempt to corrupt humanity. But after convincing from Jesus, God decides to give everyone a conscience to guide them in the right direction morally, so they can still get into heaven. And then, but Jesus recognized that this won't be enough to keep humanity away from original sin, so they won't be able to get into heaven. And so Jesus then decides that he will sacrifice himself to save humanity and redemption and seal off hell eventually. And so now we're back with Satan, who is currently on his way to Uriel, the god of light, or angel of light, and who's conveniently on the sun. And he's described as a cherub, so he could get information out of her. And so he goes to Uriel, he asks for directions to paradise, and Uriel gives it to him. So then, whenever Satan arrives in paradise, he has this moment of self-recognition for the evil things that he's done. And he begins to question if true hell is the place that where he is, or if it's the misery that he brings with him everywhere. But then he just snaps out of it, sneaks into paradise, and he overhears Adam tell Eve that the only rule of paradise is that you don't eat from the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden. So Adam has this great idea that he's gonna convince them to eat from the forbidden tree of knowledge. And then comes along Archangel Gabriel, and him and Satan duke it out for a while. But then God comes in and he tells Satan to just scram. So he does, because he is definitely afraid of God. But then Satan eventually, while this is happening, Eve has a dream that a very handsome angel has come and told him to eat the fruit. So she does, and as a result she transports off to heaven. But then it's all a dream, so she wakes up and she tells Adam about this dream, and Adam reassures her that it was just a dream and that she shouldn't eat anything that she was told not to by God. So after that dream, Raphael, an angel, comes along and warns Adam and Eve about about Satan and his wrongdoings, and how Satan was originally Lucifer and how he came to his fall. Eve eventually just leaves and gets bored, and then he encounters Satan, who is disguised as a serpent. And so, for a while, Satan eventually is enchanted by Eve's beauty and forgets about his evil ways for a little while. It's showing like his human side, but then he quickly snaps out of it, convinces Eve to eat the apple because she believed, or he convinces her because it would be like a test of knowledge or courage. And then Adam comes along, eats the apple, or eats the forbidden fruit as well, to always be with Eve no matter what fate they endure. But then God immediately knows what happens, comes and lectures them about doing wrong, and then he decides to punish them with women must submit to the husband at all times and will bear childbirth, and men will always have to work for their earnings. And while this is happening, Satan returns to hell thinking he's victorious, but then God turns him and all of his disciples into snakes. At the very end, Adam and Eve are kicked out of paradise at long last. So, the themes from this is that disobeying God or your Creator will lead to your fall from faith, or fall from grace. And this is shown whenever Adam and Eve are disobedient and they fall from paradise, but they repent and are forgiven. Unlike Lucifer, who whenever he disobeys God and starts a rebellion, continues to seek revenge and is never forgiven by God, even though God gives him the opportunity to. And differences between Satan and this Paradise Lost and Bible is that Satan in the Paradise Lost shows like attractive traits. He's sort of shown as like a Byronic hero in that, he's attractive physically and he's a strong leader, and he like shows a human side by questioning his own morals and seeking love out of Eve. While on the other hand, the Bible version of Satan is just disgusting and evil. And they both do things out of jealousy, they're both Satan. And Illusions from Frankenstein is that trying to achieve forbidden knowledge will lead to your fall from grace. And so this is shown whenever Eve takes part of the fruit of knowledge, or takes part of the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge, and she ends up falling from grace and she can't enter paradise. And another illusion is that like whenever your creator disowns their creation often leads to a destructive past. Just like in Frankenstein, whenever Frankenstein's monster is abandoned by, or isn't named from Victor Frankenstein, so he goes on a killing rampage, and when Satan is disowned and replaced by Jesus, he goes